folks, Ariel over here with a little update. Sorry for the lack of videos last little bit. I've been struggling with a laptop functional issue. Thought I got it resolved by acquiring a new old machine, which I've always bought usually cameras and laptops secondhand, and that machine has a warranty issue, so I'm going to try to get one video put together here on it, and then it's going back for a warranty, so it might be a minute before there's another one. Anyway. So, despite all of that, we have been busy with other things. The winter here has continued to be extraordinarily odd for Wyoming in the mountains. The entire month of December ran across the entire state 20 to 30 degrees above average every single day. We had mud, we had rain. It was very disgusting and gross. Warm winters are a real mess when you live in an area where it should be cold. After the first of the year, we did get a few inches of snow, like about 4, and now it has been clear and cold for quite a while. Since that, and so it's still here, which means our snowpack is at about 4 inches. Right now it should be at something like 4 feet. So it's kind of depressing. As you know, I like winter, and this has been the winter that wasn't. I haven't needed to shovel or anything a single time yet, which is just absolutely insane. But anyway, what we were just doing was carrying a bunch of plywood from the shed where it has been stored into the house, where we are working on sheeting. The first priority was to get, we are using plywood as our finish layer in the walls and the ceiling. And so our first priority was to get it done on the walls and ceiling that would be around, above, and behind where the wood stove is going to go. So that once the wood stove was set in place, you wouldn't need to work over or around it or disconnect the chimney to get something around it and so on again. And because things kind of have to go in a certain order, it meant you had to do a good bit of their main room, ceiling in order to get to that point. So that was the first thing we're working at, because though the temperatures have continued to be extraordinarily warm for this time of year, early January being when it's often minus 30s, minus 40s, something along those lines. Fahrenheit, that is. Guess Fahrenheit or Celsius once you get to minus 40. Anyway, despite that being the norm, we've just been at 0 or 1 below and things like that, which still makes a unheated house pretty cold to work in. So we're bundled up and, getting cold fingers and so on, and very much looking forward to having a little warmth in there to be able to work inside. So that would be an exciting step to get done. Here you can see us using our, I guess it's called a drywall lift, sheet goods lift, that we had from, all our projects, the shop and so on, and it is very handy when you are holding a sheet up on the ceiling to be able to have it stay solidly in place while it gets screwed off. And Clay is, as usual, very precise and particular about everything being flush and square and plumb and smooth, and so this will all look nice when we're done. As you can see, we are getting toward the corner where you can see the wood stove chimney protruding through the ceiling. Everything from that ceiling box up and out through the roof and the chimney cap and so on was completed back when we did the roofing in the summer. So it has just been waiting for the wood stove to be set below it and connected to it. So we are on our final run of sheets as we come across there and connect it to the chimney, and then the wood stove itself has to get into place. And then about a week ago, we got to the point that I had been very excitedly looking forward to for a while, which was ready to set our wood stove in place. Fortunately, my brother was willing to come over and help us with this after work one evening, because the wood stove is rather substantial. It weighs about 550 pounds. And so getting that moved and set in place without damaging the hearth stone it's going to sit on and all of that was a little bit of a project. Clay had spent a good bit of time planning how to move it and having appropriate straps and lifting tools and all of that, and fortunately it all went smoothly. I do not have video footage of us actually moving it. It had to come out of the shop across the dark snow and into place here, so I just didn't try moving the camera along with that operation while we were
concentrating on safely moving a very heavy object. Anyway, so then we just had to get the chimney parts all slipped together here, which is pretty quick. The main thing that took time is we need to, cut one to fit our particular reach of things. Meanwhile, I scrubbed up the wood stove itself of dust that it had accumulated while it was awaiting installation, and we had pulled the doors off it back when we first picked this up so that they wouldn't get damaged in the process of moving it around. So we had to grab them where they were all wrapped up nice and safely, put them on, and then the most exciting moment of all, which was to light our very first fire inside of our house. Now, if you're new here, I probably should have said this at the start. Wood is our sole heating source here, and this is a wood heating and cook stove. As you can see, it's got an oven, and when you can see it a little more close up, you can see there are burners and such on the top as well. So it's designed for cooking both on top and in the oven. It is called the Nectar Big Bun Baker. We did find this secondhand. You can see the soot on the glass. We inherited that from the last owner, and while you can clean that many ways, the easiest way is to simply burn it off with running a nice clean hot fire. So after running the fire for a little bit, you can see the glass all went clean, and we had a lovely cozy fire. This was a very, very exciting moment in the house build, and since then we do not have to bundle up to keep working on everything else.
We have continued to be able to make progress on the house. It is very warm and cozy in here, despite the fact that that stove looks out cold. At the moment, it is like 72 degrees in here. It's about 15 outside. It's been 0 or -1 most of the nights, and things are cozy in here. It is very exciting to actually have this stove in place, and so I'm going to give you a brief overview of what we've been working on since I last talked about doing insulation. The insulation is done. We have started doing our finished sheeting. This is where most people in the modern world do drywall. We are instead doing plywall. I didn't want to do drywall for multiple reasons. It's crumbly, it's messy, it's a pain to work with. It's got some chemicals in it, and I like the stability of wood. So all of our walls and ceilings and such are sheeted with actual wood. Now, people can do wood with like beadboard and shiplap and all kinds of things. So the inside of the tiny house where I lived for years was wood, and it was pine, basically pine siding. I like that. The color can get a little dark over time. I like wood, but if you have like a wood floor and a wood ceiling and wood walls and wood cabinets and a wood table, etc., it can get a little woody. So we will be painting this, the walls and the ceiling white, keep it light and bright. It's not a very big space, so that helps brighten it up, though once everything is in place, you won't actually see a lot of these walls, because this is our Nectar Big Bun Baker oven. It's also sort of sold as the Vermont Bun Baker in this country. It's made in Australia. This I was super excited to get. It's a stove I've wanted for years. Long before we bought this property, long before we were building this house, I had picked it as a stove that I wanted for having the ability to cook on top, have an oven, have a firebox that would sufficiently heat a not huge house, and not be the size of some big old kitchen ranges. So anyway, that's really fun. I've done a little bit of cooking on a wood stove. I've never had an oven that was wood-fired, so that's going to be a fun learning curve to figure out. At the moment, we're just heating in here with it, but I hope to be doing a lot of cooking. So anyway, the walls will end up getting largely covered up because there'll be a little space here, and then my antique gas range will sit right here with its oven and burners and such, and tie into the gas line, so that'll cover up part of the wall. Then there'll be kitchen cabinets and kind of an L there, the sink in front of the window over there. There'll be upper cabinets. You can see how most of that wall end up getting covered. And as you go around the rest of the house, a lot of the other walls will get covered. There's a good many windows in here for the small space that it is, so they take up what would otherwise be wall space. We've got some bookshelves that are going to go in, that will cover walls, and so on and so forth. So by the time we get done, you're only going to see little places where you'll even be able to actually see the walls. But anyway, it's coming together beautifully. It's a bit of work, of course. Anytime you're sheeting things, you got to cut around walls and light fixtures and doorways and all that kind of stuff, so that's all taking a minute. But we do have the ceiling fully done here in kind of the main living, dining, kitchen area, and out toward the front door. We have the ceiling all done, and behind the wood stove there is our bedroom. The walls in there are not done. The walls are done part way around out here, and we'll be continuing that. And then we need to do the little office room, which is right behind the camera, and the little bathroom. So that will be the next things we're working at, is continuing to finish that. And then we get to clean up all the sawdust that's out here and paint everything white. And then go back to making more sawdust by doing the trim. We have some really cool old wood that was reclaimed from somebody else's building project that's going to be all the trim around the doors and windows. And it does feel like there's an end that's going to be in sight for this project. It's not there yet. There's still a bunch of things to do, but compared to where we started, it does feel like we are getting there. It's really nice because, as I said, it has been actually way above normal temperatures still for Wyoming at this time of year, where we should be like -30, but you know, -1 is not warm. So it's been really nice to have this in here. You can actually easily overheat the room in here especially if you're working. So we've been, lighting it and then kind of letting it go out through the day so that it doesn't get too hot to do things in here. But it's exciting to see this stuff coming together. Then, cabinets have to be placed, sinks have to be tied into their water lines and the drains and so on. So this is an exciting step to be at. We lit this up for the first time about a week ago after getting it in. My brother did come over and help us set this in place. This thing weighs about 550 pounds. So that was wonderful. It's got a little stone hearth under it. We had the chimney done from the roof inside back when we did the roofing. So we just had to connect those pieces of chimney pipe and we could fire it up. And that first night we had a little picnic dinner out here, sat in our lawn chairs between the saw tables and the tools and the sawdust, and had our first little picnic meal in our little house. So that's really exciting, and as I said, we will be moving forward with, finishing the sheeting and stuff, and that's all really neat. But I thought it'd been a while, and I'm hoping I can get this video out while I have a semi-working laptop for just a minute to show you guys where we're at. And if you've been following along on the journey with building this, it's been a long process with just the two of us doing it, and it's fun to be at this stage. So you can see the nice stone hearth right up to the ceiling box. The other little vent to the right there is where there will be a hood vent over the stove. You can see how the wall is kind of done from the front door, down the sides of the bedroom, and into the corner. Now we have to keep going. And yes, there is a vapor barrier on the walls. In most most climates, I hear that is not recommended unless you're in one of the rare places that's really, really cold. And we are in one of those. So anyway, there's a vapor barrier that will continue around that way. The ceiling in the bedroom is all finished and ready for painting, and the walls are ready to go. The exterior walls with their big windows there, you can see we just left the plastic on the windows. Because what you do is you stretch a whole sheet across here, and because one of the very next things we'll be doing is painting, Clay just cut some vent holes so we can still operate the windows if we want to, open and close and so on, but it's mostly covered so that I can't mess them up when I'm painting. And then I did get insulation. Somebody had asked me if we were doing any interior insulation, any of the interior walls. Yes, definitely on the bedroom here, mostly to keep heat out. As I've discussed, we like to sleep in a cold room, and the wood stove is right on the other side of that wall, so, and the cook stove is, so we definitely wanted this wall insulated. So we did the same rock wool that we've been doing in the rest of the house in that wall, except that is a 2x4 wall, while the whole exterior is a 2x6. So anyway, that's done, and that's progress we're making there. All these things take more time than you would think they do. And then there are areas like the bathroom, laundry room, etc. here that are still looking very unfinished at all, with construction extension cord lights strung around and cords going to various tools, and there'll be a mirror right in that hole in the bathroom wall, and over here you can kind of see the back of the tub shower unit and so on. So things aren't looking very done in there at all yet, but still making progress. You can see where the sink will connect to things right under the mirror there and so on. I doubt any of you are quite as excited as we are about the progress, but we are very excited about it. It's really, really nice to see a fire flickering in our stove and be getting towards steps that feel like they go a little bit faster, partially because there is more things that I can help with. I do know how to insulate, I do know how to paint, that kind of thing, as opposed to some of the previous construction steps where I could help Clay with things, but they weren't things I knew how to do at all. So anyway, it's a fun stage to be at, and hopefully I'll get to show you more of those steps quite shortly. Thanks for following along.
Thank you everyone for watching. It means a lot, and I hope you learned something along the way.
If you know somebody else who would enjoy this as well, share it with them.